Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for week 1, finally, Premier League predictions. The Premier League is looking to start next week. So many fans must be excited. There's going to be so much anticipation for new signings like Núñez, new signings like Haaland, obviously the old guard of Liverpool, Man City competing for the Premier League title. We even got newly promoted sides looking to stay at like Nottm first. Can Fulham stop being a yo-yo club? There's going to be so many storylines when it comes to this season, and I'm so excited. I'm so ecstatic to see what's on display and what's going to happen. But let me not get ahead of myself. It is right now, it's week 1 Premier League fixtures, and I'm just going to be giving my predictions. We got some fascinating displays, some fascinating matchups. We got West Ham versus Manchester City at the Olympic Stadium. We know that's going to be a tough foot for Manchester City to try and win and conquer. We also got Fulham, a newly promoted side, versus Liverpool, and we know it's not a opening day of a Premier League season if Liverpool are not facing a newly promoted side. We also got Man United versus Brighton. Let's see in Ten Hag's first game if he can adapt his style and philosophy to the players. However, before going to this video, give my match predictions. You know what I'm going to say. Make sure you guys like, comment, and hit that big subscribe button right there. And make sure you guys in the comment section give me your own predictions. Who do you think is going to win week 1 Premier League fixtures? But make sure you guys subscribe. Only 10% of you guys actually subscribe. So the first game I'm going to be giving my match predictions on is Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. Where else better to start than this fixture? Because we know this is the opening game on Friday Night Football under the floodlights at 8 PM at Selhurst Park. It's going to be an amazing fixture, phenomenal, and let's see who's going to be victorious in the London derby. And I know Arsenal fans, even Arsenal players, and even the manager Mikel Arteta will be suffering from PTSD from last year when they kicked off the season against Brentford, another London side, where they lost 2-0. And we know Arsenal against Crystal Palace, their record ain't that great. They've only managed 1 win in their last 8 encounters against Crystal Palace, and we know Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park is going to be an absolute raucous affair. It's going to be so noisy, the atmosphere is going to be intimidating. So although Arsenal should feel cautious, should feel a little bit intimidated by Patrick Vieira, because we know he has gotten the better of Mikel Arteta in their last 2 encounters, Vieira obviously collecting 4 points, Arsenal should still feel at least confident going in this game because they have had a magnificent pre-season. It feels like Gabriel Jesus is going to be their main striker, their main talisman to bag in the goals, and he had an epic display in the pre-season, scoring 7 goals in his last 5 games, including a sensational hat-trick against Sevilla in his last game. So he's going to be going into this game filled with confidence. We know Saka scored 2 goals against Sevilla as well, had a very good pre-season as well, and I just feel like that front four young core have been gelling very well together, of Martinelli and Odegaard as well. So I feel like they're going to be very threatening. They're going to be causing Crystal Palace all sorts of problems in this game away from home. And I know last year Arsenal did struggle on the opening night because they felt intimidated. This year is going to be different. They are much more prepared compared to last year because obviously they suffered through so many COVID cases last year and didn't really have time to embed their new signings into the side. This season they've had a full pre-season to get under their belt, to obviously understand each other's style of play. So going in this game, I feel like Arsenal will win, and we know players like Jesus and Zinchenko, although weren't the star-studded names of Man City's great, excellent Premier League winning sides in the last few years or so, they did play decisive parts in those sides. So going in this game, I feel like they're not going to be intimidated by the floodlights or against a very tough away side because they have seen it all. They have played in bigger games. So going in this game, I think they're going to be able to win. I'm going to be predicting an Arsenal 2-0 victory. I know Edouard just scored 2 goals in his last pre-season game, and we know Zaha down the left-hand side is very tricky to deal with, but at the end of the day, Saliba and Gabriel have been forming a great partnership at the back, and I feel like Crystal Palace will find difficulty breaking Arsenal down. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Fulham versus Liverpool, and just like I said in my introduction, is it really the start of the season if Liverpool aren't facing a newly promoted side? So obviously in the opening game, Liverpool did get drawn against Fulham, and let's see which team will be able to pick up the 3 points. And as a Liverpool fan, as you can tell by my shirt, I'm actually feeling quite confident because I feel like obviously Liverpool have the better quality and they've been entering this game in greater preparation compared to Fulham, because we know Fulham are still scouring the transfer market, trying to get a new centre-back in Vestergaard and trying to get a new Premier League goalkeeper, and they're now trying to get proven Premier League players at this level. but the fact that they're still scouring the market this late when the season's coming up shows obviously how unprepared they are and showing that they have a lack of trust when it comes to the defensive spine. So going this game, I'm liking Liverpool's chances. I feel like we're going to create so many opportunities to really hurt Fulham's backline when it comes to this game. We saw Núñez obviously hit the mark, score 4 goals against Leipzig in one of the pre-season games, and we know people say pre-season means nothing, but what happened in the final of the Community Shield against Manchester City, against a top level opponent, he was able to get another goal under his belt. We also saw Salah having a man-of-the-match performance display against Manchester City as well, and we know Diaz causes all sorts of problems on the left-hand side. So I feel like Liverpool are going to be very dangerous and very deadly going forward in this game against Fulham, when we know, like I said, defensively and at the goalkeeper position, there is so much not to be desired as a Fulham fan. And I know Fulham have new signings like Mbabu and Hao Polini, and they're very excited to have these players because they have good reputations across Europe before entering the Premier League. But at the end of the day, you're going to be defending much more than you are attacking, and I know Mbabu going forward is quite good, but defensively he may be leaving gaping holes for someone like Luis Diaz to take advantage of. So let's see what's going to happen in this game, but I feel like Liverpool have a great opportunity of winning. Mitrovic obviously is still playing up front for Fulham, and we have been shown time and time again, season after season in the Premier League, he is not good enough at the highest level. And we can hear from Manchester United fans that although Fulham did sign Andres Pereira, and Fulham fans may feel optimistic, and Man United fans will tell you he's not good enough at this Premier League level. I am not scared of him, and he's not a replacement for Carvalho. So going this game, I'm going to be predicting a fairly simple victory for Liverpool, and I'm going to be predicting a 3-0 victory away from home. So the next game I'm going to be predicting, which should be a fascinating display, is between Everton and Chelsea. So let's see which team will be able to get on winning ways. However, going this game, I feel like both teams have shared a similar trait in pre-season, and they've been struggling to find their identity, especially Chelsea. We've seen Tuchel tinker between a 3 at the back to a 4 at the back, trying to see which formation forms a greater chemistry amongst his players. And we know Frank Lampard has been tinkering from playing a pressing style football last year compared to this season potentially playing more on a low block system, because we know his players aren't good enough to take the game to the opposition. However, I feel like both managers have stuck to their guns, formed formations which they know their players are more suited to, with Chelsea playing a 3-4-3 formation which has delivered them success in the last few years or so. And we know Everton, the reason they stayed up was because they played that 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1 rigid formation where they made it so tough for the opposition to beat them, especially in the midfield battle. So going this game, I feel like it's going to be fairly simple and straightforward of how both teams will present themselves. Everton at Goodison Park, they're going to be relying on their fan base to provide them that all-important energy so they can tackle the game with ferociousness, literally try win their individual battles, their 50-50 balls, try be aggressive and physical to stop players like Jorginho from playing in that CDM role. However, I feel like Chelsea will literally try to counteract this, obviously building out from the back, having that extra man at the back to create angles when it comes to playing out from the back. We know Jorginho can be comfortable on the ball at times, so let's see which sort of style will win and prevail within this fixture. However, going in this game, I think Chelsea will win. I know Everton have signed players like Dwight O'Neill and Tajarowski, both from Burnley, and it just shows what style football Frank Lampard is going to set out for Everton throughout the season and in this game. But I just feel like Chelsea in this moment of time will be able to deal with Everton's threats of Calvert-Lewin, because we know Damari Gray on one wing or even Dwight O'Neill on the other wing are just going to be bombing crosses from both sides into Calvert-Lewin to try to score goals. But I feel like physical presence of Koulibaly and Thiago Silva will be able to deal with this quite fairly easily. And when Chelsea do go forward, I feel like their fluid play of players who are comfortable on the ball, technical players like Sterling, Mount and Havertz will be able to pull out players like Keane and Tajarowski out of position, who are famous for being immobile centre-backs who prefer playing against a target man who are going up right against them. I feel like Sterling, we know under time of Pep Guardiola, has great movement within the final third to try get into dangerous positions to get goal scoring opportunities. So I feel like he will be playing on the last man and will be within the 6-yard box shots, getting crosses from Reece James, and potentially will be able to score goals. So that's why I think Chelsea will win. So I'm going to be predicting a 2-0 victory for the away side Chelsea FC. So next game I'm going to be predicting is West Ham versus Manchester City, and the eye test should really tell you this probably should be the most exciting match this weekend. Obviously we've got Manchester City, the Premier League champions, and West Ham, who we know are one of the best sides in the Premier League outside the top 6. However, if you look at their form, it's not telling you that's going to be an interesting game, because West Ham have only won 2 out of their last 7 pre-season games, looking very lifeless. And we've got Manchester City, who were looking very lifeless against Liverpool, losing 3-1 in the Community Shield final fairly easily. And although West Ham have been in dire form, they haven't been performing particularly great within pre-season, I can't feel like you could have asked a better time to play Manchester City, the Premier League champions, rather than this weekend. Although we know Erling Haaland's one of the best forwards in the world, who is proving it under Borussia Dortmund, we still have yet to see Manchester City on an efficient, consistent basis integrate him within the Pep Guardiola system. We saw against Liverpool how the Manchester City players were struggling to get the ball into him, because Haaland was great within his movement, trying to make those runs in behind, but Manchester City kept playing square passes back within the midfield and recycling possession. So going this game against West Ham, where we know who are going to set up within a low block of Craig Dawson and even Zuma with Soucek and Rice in front of them, Haaland's not going to have that much space to make those runs in behind. So when he does, it's very important of Manchester City's midfielders of Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva to pick him out when he makes those runs. And like I just pointed out, West Ham are going to be playing a low block system. So Haaland's going to have to be much more technical. Obviously, he's back to go and try to be on the same wavelength, same IQ when it comes to joining in the play of build-up play when it comes to Manchester City. So all these things I feel like are going to be working in West Ham's favour when it comes to man marking Haaland, because we know technically he isn't the most sound or complete players compared to Manchester City strikers of the class of Aguero and even playing that false 9 system. So going this game, I do fancy West Ham. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I think West Ham have the opportunity to pick up points within this game. I do like Bowen against Cancelo, the matchup, because we saw Salah rip Cancelo over the 90 minutes of the Community Shield final. I feel like Bowen will fancy his chances against a forward-thinking left-back of Cancelo throughout this game. And obviously we know Antonio has the makeup and has the strength and the power to deal with a whole back four by himself, to include players in the play when it comes to counter-attacking football. But overall, I just feel like David Moyes will have a plan which will work against Pep Guardiola to get a result. So I'm going to be predicting a 1-1 game between these two sides. We know Manchester City are notoriously famous for being slow starters when it comes to the Premier League. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Manchester United versus Brighton, and I feel like we are right on track to see the failings of Manchester United within this game. We know how it goes. In pre-season, Martial FC fans come to life again, winning against Crystal Palace, beating Liverpool 4-0, get excited, getting ecstatic, but then in the last few games, you don't really hear much of it. Obviously, not winning within the last 3 games against Aston Villa, losing against Atletico Madrid as well, and drawing against that Spanish team within the last game. So the hopes and the optimism ain't as great as it once was at the beginning of pre-season, and we know when it comes to the start of the year, Martial and other players start to disappear. So going this game will be interesting to see how Manchester United will tackle this game. However, although Ten Hag had a full pre-season under his belt, I'm still confused. I'm still bewildered to see how he's going to set up, because we know they signed Martinez from Ajax as a centre-back, but we also know that literally Ten Hag has declared his unconditional love for Maguire as to still be captain. So is he going to start? But then you also have Varane on the bench, who's obviously a serial winner as a centre-back in his past for France and Real Madrid. So who's going to be the centre-back pairing? We do not know. Also, when it comes in the final third, Ronaldo was Manchester United's best player, but then we also know Ten Hag's literally favouring Martial in the pre-season games at the earlier on. So who's going to start between these two players as well? I just feel that Manchester United do not have a continuity of their best starting 11, and this is going to hinder them when it comes to their first game, because it's better to be prepared, better to know your best players to fit into your system. And if you don't know this, you're just going to leave a lot of inconsistent performances throughout the 90 minutes against Brighton. However, Manchester United could not have picked a better time to play Brighton, because we know Brighton obviously losing their key man of Basuma to Tottenham, literally their cornerstone when it comes to breaking up defensive play. Then we also know Cucurella is obviously not going to start against Manchester United, because he has his eye turned to teams like Chelsea and Manchester City. So Brighton are missing their 2 best players, and we know going forward they've just been notoriously famous not being able to finish off their chances with players like Mupay, Welbeck, and they haven't really strengthened within that aspect. I know they signed 2 players under 21, but we know these 2 players aren't going to catch up the imagination of the Brighton fans when it comes to this game. However, at the end of the day, I do think Brighton will get a result. I just feel like a partnership of McFred within the midfield is just going to leave too many square passes, and I just feel like a broken record because I've said that so many times throughout the last few seasons or so, but I just feel like every manager favours a partnership of these 2 midfielders, and we know when it comes to Ten Hag football, he loves playing the ball forward, he loves having pace and intensity of getting the ball into his front men, and these 2 players do not play this style of football on a consistent basis. So Manchester United are still left imbalanced within the midfield, not signing anyone to play that DM role. We know they're linked to De Jong, and with Martial looking to play up front and Rashford with his inconsistent performances, it's just going to be a Ronaldo or Sancho miracle for them to try and win this game. So I'm going to be predicting another 1-1 draw between these 2 sides, and let's see what happens. Thank you guys for watching my video. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Who do you think is going to win in week 1 Premier League fixtures?